boxing fans, welcome to JP Boxing. I'm JP and I'm here to discuss a hot boxing topic with you today. I'm going to be talking about the biggest names in boxing and answering the question, if we can answer it with just one name, who is the face of boxing, the biggest name out there, the guy that you think of as soon as you start talking boxing with your mates or strangers walking down the road or whoever. Who is the face of boxing in 2024? And I'm doing it today because it's Canelo Fight Week. And up until, I'm going to say, a year, maybe 2 years ago, most people you'd ask, I'd say 90% of boxing fans, I was included in that, would say Canelo, without that, is the face of boxing. Obviously, as I'm going to go on to discuss later in this video, it's different for different areas. Like in Britain, you got the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. People might say they're the face of boxing, the casuals I'm talking about. You go to Japan, it's going to be Naoya Inoue. You go to America, a few years back it might have been Wilder, now it might be Gervonta Davis. But what I'm talking about in this video is the face of boxing across the whole world. Who is that main man? Who is that main guy? Is it still Canelo Alvarez, or is it someone else that I'm going to go on to mention in this video? Obviously, there's no set answer to this. You could maybe, if I had more subscribers, as you can see here, I've only got 750. Hopefully we see that go up after this video, because if you do like my videos, people, please like and subscribe. Helps me get out there to more and more people, and I'll be putting more and more videos out there. Of course, talking all things boxing all the time here at JP Boxing. But yeah, back to the topic for this one. Yeah, if I had 1 million subscribers, I could do a poll for all boxing fans, and you'd see which one came up the most, and whoever got the most votes, you could decide. But I don't think that's really going to work with 750, you know, especially when most of mine at the minute are UK fight fans. My second, actually, at the minute, just a random thing out there, is in the Philippines. So I think it worked out about 20% of my channel viewings are Filipino fans. So if you're watching this over in the Philippines, thank you for watching, and your face of boxing is probably still Manny Pacquiao. But yeah, anyway, I keep digressing, man. I'm going to give my opinion on this, and then you guys, if you want to, can come back in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree with who I think is still the face of boxing. It is very hard just to pick one, and yeah, come back with who you think is the face of boxing if you disagree. So yeah, let's jump into it. I haven't really got any set plan or order of how this video is going to go. I've just got a list of like the top big names that I think could be considered for this throne, shall we say, having the crown as the face of boxing, the king of boxing, although you could just say that's the pound for pound #1, the king of boxing. So yeah, I'll just go through them and then give a little bit of reason as to why you could pick each one, and then at the end of the video, pick the one that I still believe is the face of boxing. So you got Canelo Alvarez. He could still be it, man. I'll start with him. It's Canelo Fight Week. It's still massive news. He's only fighting Edgar Berlanga this week. You can go and check my prediction for that now. You'll see that although I think it could be a fun fight in the early rounds, I believe Edgar Berlanga is massively overmatched and shouldn't be the opponent that Canelo is fighting this week. Shouldn't even be in the top 5, maybe 10 opponents that the fans want to see Canelo fighting this year and like moving forwards. But no matter, Canelo is one of them guys, you could put him in the ring with an absolute nobody, pull a guy off the street, and you're still going to get thousands of people buy tickets to go and watch it. It's still going to be a big, massive fight week with all the grand arrivals and stuff, everyone turning up to watch the press conferences, the weigh-ins that you don't get with many fighters, just the top, most famous ones. And yeah, millions around the world are going to be tuning in no matter who he fights. So he definitely does still have a claim to be the face of boxing. I actually read an article on Boxing Scene earlier. This is his 18th event in Las Vegas, where he's been either one of or the main attraction. Only Floyd Mayweather, who's had the same as him, he's had 18-2 in Vegas. He's the only guy who's had the same, and Oscar De La Hoya is the only guy who's had more big fights in Las Vegas with the grand arrivals. Not like just talking undercard fights, having the grand arrivals, having all the hype about you on Fight Week. He's had 21, so you'd expect Canelo over the next couple of years before he does retire will overtake that. So not only is he maybe still the face of boxing right now, he might be one of the biggest faces. He's definitely one of the biggest money earners of all time in boxing. So yeah, no matter what you think about him right now, I have also got a video on my channel asking the question, has Canelo fallen off in terms of his ability as a fighter, still right at the very top as a pound for pound contender, and in terms of how the fans perceive him. So yeah, and I do believe he has fallen off a bit. He is on a slight demise, over the hill, shall we say. But he definitely still has one of the biggest claims to be the face of boxing. Also, and you say Canelo's main fan base, obviously Mexico, where he's from, and America. Over here in the UK, I think if you ask a lot of casuals, like if you ask my friends who watch the big fights, they'll know Canelo Alvarez. So they're the casual fans, they definitely know him. If you ask, like if I went to, I'm thinking, just an old lady walking down the road, like one of my neighbours or something like that, and I said, you know Canelo Alvarez is, they probably wouldn't know. So, but obviously you have to look at the audience of America. It is the biggest audience when it comes to anything in the world, any form of entertainment. So he's definitely a front runner, probably the front runner still, Canelo. Gervonta Davis, another name that's absolutely huge in America. The idea I got for this video was actually from All the Smoke fight that Andre Ward works on now. And he was talking with Andre Dirrell and Andre Berto, the three Andres, talking boxing. That's a brilliant show. I'll plug that here if you want to go check that out. They're not paying me any sponsorship or advert money. It's just a brilliant channel with real boxers talking about real boxing. And they said it's between Canelo and Gervonta Davis. For me, I know, and obviously they're American. They're from that sort of culture that Gervonta Davis really taps into. And I know he's a huge name in America with the rappers, with that sort of gangster sort of culture. They absolutely love Gervonta Davis. And obviously with Andre Ward and that being around that sort of area that Gervonta Davis is from, mixing in the same circles, they're going to think Gervonta Davis is one of the biggest names. But again, you ask the UK casuals, they'll know Gervonta Davis. But further than that, I think there's less chance of a randomer walking down the road here knowing who Gervonta Davis is than there is of Canelo. But he still has the opportunity to grow, Gervonta Davis. He's only 29, he's still in his prime over the next few years. With him, he's got the massive potential to be pound for pound number one maybe, and the biggest superstar on the planet. He's just a real one. There's no sort of showmanship or anything with him. It's just a real one. You know, like Mike Tyson, when he was the baddest man on the planet back in the day, when he was the face of boxing, he was a killer. He didn't do it for show, and that's what Gervonta Davis is like. And he does a lot of his talking in the ring, but at the minute, the only huge fight of his career is Ryan Garcia. If he goes for the Shakur Stevensons, the Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Garcia rematch, now that Garcia's had a breakdown and become even more famous. Some people might even say Ryan Garcia's the face of boxing at the minute with all the fucking crazy noise he's making, but he's not doing enough in the ring to be considered for that. Obviously, he did, well, we say beat Devin Haney, but it's now been turned to a no contest. But yeah, just going mad and making loads of noise and becoming infamous doesn't mean you're the face of boxing. Gervonta Davis, like I said, he's a front runner. He's got potential. In America, they'd probably say him, but worldwide, I don't think he's got a big enough claim yet. I'll then come on to the UK, guys. If you ask anyone about boxing in the UK for the last 10 years, it's going to either be Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. And I do think Tyson Fury, despite losing to Usyk recently and sort of being disliked a bit more by a bigger portion of the fans now, he is still massive in America. He is still huge in the UK. He's going to be he's obviously huge in Saudi Arabia and that, where they really love him. I think you ask a lot of people, he gets mentioned. That's another thing I know when a guy is sort of becoming the face of boxing. Like, you watch programs like EastEnders, every time they make a boxing joke, it's a guy has a fight. It's like, oh, do you think you're Tyson Fury? He gets mentioned in movies. He's got his own TV shows. He was on WWE. It's when they tap into that other form of entertainment, you know they are really making noise. So I think Tyson Fury is definitely a front runner for being the face of boxing still too. But then with hardcore boxing fans, if you dislike the guy and he's doing wrong and he's, before the Usyk fight, wasn't giving us the fights we wanted, can you call him the face of boxing just because he's more famous with casuals? Then Anthony Joshua, man, if you talk about UK putting bums on seats, stadium fights, Anthony Joshua is the motherfucking man. I know he's not really superstar famous in America though, but he is around the world. He's massive when you've seen him go to Africa and places like that. He was like fucking Shades of Ali with how he was out there with the people following him and stuff when he went out to Nigeria and explored all the culture out there. So Anthony Joshua, definitely a front runner too. But then you could say the guy that fucking whooped both of them, Alexander Usyk, might not be as famous, but to us hardcore fans, he's the pound for pound number one. Maybe he should be the face of boxing. He's definitely the biggest role model champion in boxing. He's just a road fighter that's just got on the road, beat everyone at cruiserweight, beat everyone there is at heavyweight. If you ask me who should be the face of boxing and who's the king of boxing right now, it's without doubt Alexander Usyk. But then we have to take the casuals into it too. But if he's just beaten and absolutely battered two of the biggest names in boxing right there, surely he's gained their fan base, and it could be Usyk. Just because he doesn't go around doing all this superstar celebrity stuff, you ask a lot of people in the world, do they know who Alexander Usyk is now? They're going to say, yeah, that's the guy who fucks everybody up, one of the best fighters on the planet. So Usyk for me would be my choice if we didn't take the casuals and the celebrity status into it as the face of boxing. And maybe that's answered my question there already. Stay tuned though, because I've got a few more names. But yeah, Usyk would be my face of boxing. But then, as I said, it depends on areas. You got Naoya Inoue I've got on the list here. If you went over to Japan and asked them about boxing, their boxing is all Naoya Inoue right now. He's an absolute superstar out there. He's a monster, pardon the pun, using his nickname in terms of celebrity status. He's put in 20,000 bums on seats for his last fight, 50,000 for the fight before that. And I know they've got other guys like Nakatani and that coming through now. They're talking about they could do like 100,000 stadium for Inoue versus Nakatani if that fight got made. Inoue's a big name in America. He's loved over here by UK fight fans too. So he's one that could be taken into consideration. And he's a guy that, despite his last fight against TJ Deheny, fights the best all the time. He's a real one. He's a two-way undisputed champion like Usyk, like Terence Crawford, I'm going to go to talk about in a minute. Actually, let's go on to talk about him now. My second pick for face of boxing would be Terence Crawford. I just think, in terms for hardcore fight fans, I think a lot of guys might pick him or consider him. A bit like Usyk, he just symbolises what boxing's all about, just being a real fucking dog. But it's all about the fighting when you get in the ring, and it's good now that he's finally getting that sort of celebrity status with it too. He's a prime athlete. Saw him on Logan Paul's podcast, everybody loving him and his personality on that. He's doing more interviews, and even though he's a good type of guy that probably doesn't enjoy that sort of stuff, he is becoming a celebrity outside of boxing now too. And as a guy that's been a big fan of Terence Crawford from the very beginning, like I'm talking when he stepped in as a late replacement to fight Brady Prescott. I can't remember what show that was on, but like 12, 13 years ago now, and then absolutely picked Prescott apart. I've been a fan of Crawford since then and been saying he's one of the best since then. So now for him finally to get the flowers he deserves, even though it's towards the end of his career, it's good to say that he could be considered as one of the faces of boxing. So they're the real ones. They're the ones you've got to take into consideration. And if you said to me, that's your face of boxing, I'll be like, fair play, top class fighter, got celebrity status, big name, doing it right, is a proper boxer. But I have to mention him, people. I have to do it. Not just for the clickbait, so I could use him in my thumbnail and get some of the younger YouTube fans on there. But some people, those younger YouTube fans, might tell you that Jake Paul is the face of boxing. If I went to, let's say like my 12-year-old cousin or something like that now, or any of his mates, or even some like younger than 18, or even some of the older fans, like older people that just watch YouTube more than boxing. You say, when I say boxing, who do you think of first? They're probably going to say Jake Paul, or maybe fucking KSI or Tommy Fury or somebody like that. But Jake Paul is probably the biggest name out of all of that YouTube mess that goes on with the misfits and stuff like that. And yeah, and look at his fight against Mike Tyson later this year is probably going to be the most watched fight of the year. They're saying it could be the most watched fight of all time because it's going to be free to view on Netflix, and fucking pretty much everybody has Netflix nowadays. So yeah, man, I wouldn't put him as the face of boxing at all. He is not enough of a proper boxer, especially fighting a 58-year-old in Mike Tyson next, which is a fight that shouldn't be happening. You can find loads of content about my opinion of that fight on this channel already uploaded and moving forward. As I said, people, like and subscribe if you want to see all of this stuff. It's much appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Jake Paul. What he's doing with Tyson is disgusting. But he's a fucking celebrity, does huge numbers, and everybody's fucking talking about him. And he's bringing loads of new fans to the sport. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, maybe in the next 2-3 years, he could be the biggest name in boxing. But it's very likely he gets knocked the fuck out by then. Maybe in the first couple rounds against Mike Tyson. Who knows? And then my last one. some people might say to you, Mike Tyson or one of the legends like that is still the face of boxing. Mike Tyson at the age of 58 is it probably taking part in the biggest fight in terms of people watching. I know it's not a proper fight, but in terms of people watching, that's the biggest fight this year. 30 odd years on from when he was like not even dominating in terms, he wasn't dominating at the end of his career, but was the biggest name in boxing as a professional fighter back then. And even over those 30 years he stayed involved in boxing. He stayed a massive name in boxing even when he hasn't been fighting. And like his exhibition with Roy Jones was probably one of the most viewed sporting events of the last few years. So you could say that Mike Tyson and people like Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather, like, even though Muhammad Ali has passed away now, you could say them guys are still the faces of boxing because they're synonymous with boxing forever. Even when they pass on, they're the greats that will always be remembered. Especially people like Mike Tyson now, who's still actually boxing and still in front of the cameras, and it's like Floyd Mayweather. Even though I hate the exhibitions he's doing now, people could say that he's still making loads of money and still the most talked about guy in boxing. But I don't think Mayweather's exhibitions really bang the same as Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson does, because he's fighting a bunch of people we don't know. Floyd Mayweather now still earning money, but it's not enough for me to say he's even anywhere near the top like 5 faces of boxing anymore. But that debate and rants for another day, and I'm gonna stick with the more modern fighters now from my faces of boxing. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna go Alexander Usyk is my face of boxing. He's also my pound for pound king. But if you said Crawford, Inoue, Usyk, obviously I just picked him, Joshua, Fury, Gervonta Davis, Canelo, any of those guys, I'll be like, okay, I can see why you got that guy as the face of boxing. And if you said Mike Tyson too, just because he's one of my favourite fighters, maybe my favourite fighter of all time, I'd say, okay, he is still the face of boxing too. But yeah, over to you guys now. Let me know if there's anyone that I didn't put on this list. If there's someone on the list that, other than Usyk, that I didn't pick, let me know if that guy's your face of boxing. There's so many to pick from. There's so many different reasons we can look into it. Like I said, there's no proper answer, but it's a fun thing to talk about, man. The face of boxing, the biggest name in the fighting world. Yeah, over to you guys now. And if you like my videos, people, please like and subscribe. There's loads more Canelo Berlanga content coming this week. And yeah, loads more content about all things boxing moving forward. So yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thank you.